We are on live. Say hi to everyone. You're on live. Say hello. You jumped on stage. Let's go. Your debut.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and everyone online that's watching us right now live, and everyone that's sitting here in our studio, I'm Mastermind Studio in Lubbock, Texas. Welcome. My name is Taha Habib. I'm co-founder of I Am Mastermind, and I have here Abraham Carranza, founder of I Am Mastermind. Here today, we're going through the Unwavering Persistent. That's our topic. We have these seminars every Thursday of the last Thursday of the month, and we've been having this about a year now, I believe, and we will continue having them. I'm going to give a little bit of introduction about I Am Mastermind for individuals that are here for first time or individuals that are watching this online. I Am Mastermind was founded in 2018 by Abraham Carranza, and we are certified coach from Proctor Gallagher Institute, Bob Proctor. And the reason I Am Mastermind is here to help individual to become aware of their abilities, become aware of their higher faculties, and become aware that they are the creator of their life. And this is a mission that it's personal for Abraham and I, and to help others and to let others know what they have and what a capable creatures they are. And here in I Am Mastermind, we help increasing consciousness and becoming aware. Everyone has the ability to create their life. Right now they are, whether they're aware of it or not. We help them to direct their life to a definite end and live with purpose. All that, Abraham, continue.
Yes, just a little background. Ta and I are both, we've got the entrepreneurial spirit and running through our blood, you could say. And that's what joined us. And going through the building and the development of companies or a company, you start to learn that there's more about yourself that you didn't know. And as you work towards building and developing yourself, you begin to understand that there's more that you didn't know, but there's a lot more that you've got to learn. There's a lot more that you've got to develop, especially when you were not raised around it, you were not groomed around it. And when you're wanting to go somewhere you've never been, you're going to have to become somebody you never were. And that was something that never ends. As we get a better understanding, consciousness never stops. The mind never ends. When you're asleep, the mind is working. When you're awake, the mind is working. The mind is always consistently moving. The thing about this is that it's rare that somebody's actually in control of it. And that's where we get more into depth in that, and we're going to go into it. But that willingness, that wantingness to want to be more than what I was at the time, that desire to become something I was not, was what propelled me into the personal development field. That's the only thing I could develop. Everything outside of myself was conditions and circumstances. And that's what you're going to see. And that's what you're going to get a better understanding. When you really look at conditions and circumstances, you don't have a choice other than look towards you. And when you're trying to go beyond that, you've got to develop yourself. You've got to develop your awareness, and you've got to develop new habits, behaviors, skills. There's a whole other realm of conditioning your mindset to be the right mindset to get the results you want. That took me into personal development, finding out more about consciousness, awareness, what makes one man different than the next. Why is there very few people that actually accomplish those large gains or really become very wealthy, or what is it that makes them different? So all this study went back to really defining and redefining myself over and over and over again, and working on developing myself. That's all we have. In doing that, I had first supply store, second supply store, third one, and I'm noticing that I'm changing, other people around me are not changing. And I know that they're stuck. All the research that I was looking at told me I knew that I'm looking at a behavior, and they have no clue what they're looking at. They think that that's just the way they are. And I wanted to help them go beyond, but I was learning these lessons through many books. I was learning this information through lots of years of studying different information, but I didn't have a booklet that was just directly on personal development, just directly on all the information I'd been gathering and working on. And I say there are no accidents. I asked the universe, I asked God, I asked for guidance. I said, well, I need to learn more about the mind, and I need to learn how to teach the information that I've been learning and I've been changing. I've got to be able to teach that to somebody else. And 3 days later, I received a phone call from some businessmen. They introduced me to Bob Proctor. And I looked at the videos that he had, and he knows what he's talking about. A lot of the things he was saying was, he was communicating in the same manner I was. A lot of the books he was studying was the same material that I was studying. And immediately I took a flight and went to go meet him. I went to go see what he was doing, what his material was, what it looked like. And immediately I knew it in my heart that this was the right information that I needed to bring back. And so immediately I became a consultant, bringing it back, and began working towards our goals and working towards helping people go beyond and learn how to take them beyond where they've ever been. That has been the biggest work of anything, was learning how to take somebody else beyond where they've ever been, if they're willing to. And that's the key, if you're willing. Now, we've had some people do some dramatic changes, but they've got to be willing. They've got to be willing first. They've got to want to not be them to begin with. And that's where this all started. And Taha and I were, it was 2016, actually, when I went, 16 or 17, when I went down there and I became a consultant. So for several years, I was studying these materials, working with the Procter & Gallagher Institute, learning this material, learning it towards the definite end of bringing it back, and being able to work with my business partner, the goal is business partners and other individuals, and then open it up to the public. And that's what we've done in this last year, is open it up to the public, and that's what we're doing. So we have done work in different countries, and we have had phenomenal results. Mm-hmm. And we've had people make some huge changes in their life. And it's not an accident. There's a method to it, but they've got to follow it. Mm-hmm. And with that, we want to get started?
Sure. So we're going to go start in giving an introduction of mind and key topics through this seminar. And one thing that you need to, I need to remind everyone, this is something that what you're going through right now with this seminar is something that is going to help you to answer some of the questions that you have. You may be curious, but the seminar is not going to, when you start hearing us and start seeing the slide, is not something that is going to make a major shift in you unless you start making this studying of you part of your life. So this is not something that we start talking about it and you say, yeah, I'm getting it, it makes sense. But that making sense is something that it makes sense right now, but it's not going to change your behavior. It's not going to change who you are, and it's not going to change the way you think unless you start repeating this information and applying it to who you are and to your belief. Otherwise, it's just going to be information. I'm going to start with the what is brain and the difference between mind and brain. We have to understand mind because everything happens starting in a mind. So in order for us to understand, we have to have an idea of what mind is. And when we start talking about mind, we work with images. So we have to start showing an image so you have a good understanding what that is. Every word that I say, when I say horse, when I say car, when I say table, everything I say, you have an image in your mind, right? So we work in images. In order for us to be able to help and understand this, we have to have an image of what mind is. So the mind is an invisible force that holds a mass of information, right? And that's not your brain. It's the mind and brain are two different things. And when we start talking about I'm going through this. When we start talking about mind, Dr. Torment Fleet in 1934, he was working holistically. He was working with energy. And he would want to help people to understand why they're doing what they're doing. And he was wanting to show what the mind is. He knew, he was aware that people work with images, right? When these words are coming out of my mouth or when we're talking, we're having these images in our mind and we can't relate and understand it. And everyone has an images. You guys are sitting there and people that are online, when I say a car, everyone has different image of a car, right? Because we have different information in our mind, right? So to understand mind, we have to understand this image right here. Mind on this image is, you have two parts of the mind. And I'll tell you, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, how they function and why it's important to understand the mind. Because there's two parts of mind. One is conscious mind and one is subconscious mind. The conscious mind is where you can start hearing my voice and you can start understanding what I'm telling you. Basically, your conscious mind is, we're going to get into it in more depth. I'm just touching the surface. And the subconscious mind is where your behavior, your beliefs, and that's where it's controlling your body. When we start talking about conscious mind and subconscious mind, I want to explain a little bit about how our mind, our conscious mind and subconscious mind are formed. When a kid is born from when it's born till age of 5, they don't have any conscious mind, right? They come to this world, they have no idea of, what is this, or what is this, or we just introduce them to the word, right? When you have a kid, you picked up a kid, you say, hey, say mommy, say daddy, this is tree, this is a sky, this is car, and the kids start picking up the information from the family. So imagine you're a kid, you come to this family that you don't know anything about, you start listening to them, they talk certain language, right? They have certain belief on a table. They celebrate certain dates. They have a certain belief about money. They have a certain belief about the culture, certain belief about how the world is, certain belief about everything, right? And then because they are the first that are influencing you, you pick up the language, you pick up the culture, you pick up the way they're talking or the word they're using, you pick up their beliefs automatically. This happens automatically. And by age of 7 or 8, before your conscious minds develop, you start having this information about everything. Where you live, what's your what's the life look like? How much money is it's good? Is money is creating wealth easy? Not is what's possible for you? What's not possible? What's a good lifestyle? What do we need to? What are we doing in this world? How we live? Everything about life has been programmed into you by age of 7 and 8, and after that you start developing your conscious mind. As you guys can see here, you start developing your conscious mind. And when you start developing your conscious mind, your subconscious mind is already formed. So the way you are, it's already been shaped by age of 7 and 8. And that information is in your subconscious mind. So every time you think and you see things, you start interpreting that according to your information that you receive from your family and the one that you grew up with, everything. All the perception that you have toward everything is already interpreted according to the information that you receive. And that's how you're going to see life. That means you're going to make a decision based off of that. Those are the conversations you're going to have. What you think is possible, what's not possible. Everything that you think, you already have ideas and information about it. And that's how you think that things are, right? So according to that, when we start thinking about conscious mind, our conscious mind is our thinking mind. The reason this is important, understanding this, is because I'll tell you where you have to intervene in your belief and the things you are programmed, because you're the only one can change this programming. This programming is running your life. and I'll explain a little bit further how it's running your life. Your conscious mind is your thinking mind. You can think, right? Anybody here can close their eyes and imagine. Whatever you can imagine, right? Anything, right? Your conscious mind is where you went to school. It's keeping the information from school. You got your degree. You collected information, right? Your conscious mind is also your intellect. You choose. You choose, accept, or refuse, right? You have the power to choose, right? But the problem is us, without knowing, we accept and reject according to what's right here, right? So when you hear a conversation, when you and I having conversation, right? We agree on something, meaning that that's agreeing. When you hear the information through your ears, these are our five senses, right? When you hear the information through your ears, it's not you that agreeing or disagreeing with that, right? It's that information that you have, right? So people don't know that. So a lot of things, we hear things or we see things without thinking. This program is already interpreting it for us, what that is, right? So why it's important to understand the conscious mind is because the conscious mind is where we can start changing our programs or the way we see things or our belief or how much we are worth or self-image or how can we start increasing our confidence, right? So in order to do that, we need our conscious mind to be able to consciously think and apply, right? To start changing our subconscious mind. And our body is ruled by our subconscious mind. So my body is instrument of the mind. So I'm not moving. The ways I'm moving right now, or I'm going somewhere and I'm doing things, is not by accident. It's all by the way I think. It's by the way you think. It's by the way you think. It's by the way everyone online that are watching us are thinking. Because the way we're thinking is affecting our reality. So what does that mean? That means the way I am thinking is affecting my decisions, my behavior, and those decisions and behavior are setting up sequence of events in the future for me to see. So meaning that in order for me, because before you may not know this, before you thought that you're just here and you're just living and things are happening out of luck or out of unknown or other beliefs that people have. I don't want to get into it. But now that you understand there's relationship between you and your reality, you and the circumstance, you and the experiences, right? That means I can choose and decide what I want to see and experience, right? How? By reprogramming your subconscious mind. And you're the only person can do it. You may be hearing me right now. A lot of people go to a seminar, or go to success seminar, or go to places because they're looking into something outside of themselves to help them. It's okay. Like you guys are seminar, right? You guys are in seminar. You're curious or you want to learn more, right? But this seminar is not going to help you, or these classes that we offer is not going to help you unless you take the information that you're learning and start thinking, how am I applying this information in my life? That's how you're going to start reprogramming your subconscious mind. And without doing, you cannot change your programming. Because what did I say? I said your body is instrument of your mind. So if I don't move and start acting differently, that means I haven't done anything yet. I heard the information consciously, but I have not reprogrammed my subconscious mind. Meaning, Abraham mentioned earlier, meaning I haven't changed who I am. And that's the most difficult part that individual has to go through. They have to change who they are right now in order to reprogram themselves, in order to bring a different outcome in their life. And that's what most of the people have problem with. Here, We discussed that. We've seen the results. So why what we're talking about mind is because everyone in this world is right. You're right, you're right, you're right. Everybody's online right, you're right as well. Everyone is right according to what? Now that we understand that my belief is always creating my life, right? So if you and I talk, right? If you and I agree on something or disagree on something, right? If you say sky is blue and I said, no, it's green, right? We're both right. Why? Because we both have our own belief, and whatever we think, that's what it is. That was an example of sky is green or whatever color that is. So if you agree or disagree according to whatever you think of this world, whether this world is a good world, bad world, there's a lot of money, there's not a lot of money, you can't find a good relationship, you can't build a good life, you cannot. Whatever you believe, you are right. Because you are understood, you guys, I just explained, to touch on it lightly, you guys are the way you are, according to the way you are, you make decision and your behavior follow that, and you start the action and reaction. And that reaction that you get from your environment is according to what you are, right? So anything that you say, if you say, hey, I'm worthy of making $100,000 a month, you're right. If you say I'm not, you're right as well. So it's up to you what you decide. Before we didn't know that. We didn't know it's up to me that I can decide and choose what I want to be in my life and what I want to create, right? Now that you know, you have to start directing your mind to what is it that I need to be in order to create the life that I want. That's the work. That's where the work starts. So this comes with a lot of responsibility. We're going to go through responsibility, and I'm going to hand it to Abraham when it comes to persistence. This comes with a lot of responsibility, meaning I am responsible for my life, for my result, right? Nobody else is. When I take a responsibility, and I don't blame my coworker, I don't blame my spouse, I don't blame my parents, I don't blame where I was born, I don't blame anybody, I don't blame circumstance, because now we understood, right? We understood that I am the creator of my life, and because of who I am, I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing. So meaning that I take a responsibility of my life, and there are nobody in this world but me that now I'm aware to be responsible for my life. That means if somebody is, let's say you're saying, okay, well, Taha, I have this question so many times. Well, Taha, I was born in this family in this geographic area. How is that my fault? Why was I not born in a rich family or wealthy family or somebody that had a decent parent, right? We can sit here and be victim and shrug the responsibility off after knowing this information and stay as victim, and we can never really put our hands around our life and be responsible. Or we can say, now that I understand that I am creator of my life, I'm going to start changing the belief and changing the way I think, which is conscious decision, is a decision, to change the outcome from now on future. You can't do that. Because whatever happened in the past, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about the past. I see people regret about the past. I see people still have not let go of the past. I see people that say, I wish this and I wish that. I wish I made those decisions. I see people think they're behind in their life because they're always competing with others. I've seen all that. That way of thinking, which we teach in our classes, is not going to help you to progress in life and take responsibility in your life. So that's why this word, responsibility, is very important. From now on, you have to start saying and accepting that it's you and it's you that needs to be changed. Let's say if somebody does not accept the responsibility of life, if they never own it, they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to consciously direct their life and create the outcome that they want. They cannot create the life by design. They can't. So the responsibility is very important. Now that it comes to responsibility, I want you guys to, I went a little too fast, but I want you guys to look at your worksheet here on page, if you're taking notes about conscious mind or subconscious mind, I want you guys to make sure that you're taking notes here, and whatever you understand, put it down, because when you start thinking and you start putting things down, you are going to start having a little bit better of understanding. Before we get into defining goals and plans. So up to this point, I want to make a conclusion before I ask Abraham Kranza to continue this seminar. To this point, you understood that you are a product of your environmental programming, and then you understood that you create your life, you're responsible for it. If you don't like it, you can change it. You understood that as well. So it's up to you. You got to take responsibility and learn more. How can I reprogram my subconscious? How can I change who I am? Because you're perfect, right? Don't look at your results. Don't look at how much money you make. Don't look at your current results. Don't look at how successful in society you are. Ignore all that, right? From this point forward, if you decide that you want to be someone, create an avatar, and you want to be that, you can start working toward that, and you can start the changes. But that starts with taking responsibility of your life and having a goal. That's very important. Not just take responsibility, because if you're not having a goal, we are goal-oriented mechanism, right? Meaning that I'm always going after something. I'm always creating something, right? We want to create conscious. We want to decide where we're going. So when you take the responsibility of your life, the next thing that is going to help you develop yourself and change your life to a better quality of life, be happier, feel prosperous, feel fulfilled, is having a goal. You got to have a goal, because that goal, it's going to require you to grow and change who you are to be able to become who you want to become. The process is not about reaching your goal. The process is about, on the way, you guys understood, who you are is creating your reality. On the way, how you're changing your avatar, how you're changing your personality, it's going to get you closer to the life that you want. And that requires a goal. Why goal? Why goal setting is important? Because when you start thinking about your goal, it's a psyche, right? It's in your mind. When you start thinking about your goal, whenever the goal is image, right? And you're thinking about it. When you're thinking about that, there's a biology to that. Meaning that when you're sending a signal from your mind to your brain, you start releasing hormones, and you start releasing chemicals in your body that makes you really happy, makes you want to go get it, gives you energy, get out of the bed, right? And that comes with having a goal and purpose. If you don't want to give up, we're talking about persistent. If you don't want to give up on the way to reach your goal, and you don't want to have a procrastination, you have to have a goal that excites you, gets you out of bed. And whenever you think about it, you can tell you're so excited about that goal. Because on the way, it's going to be difficult. There's going to be setback. There are going to be obstacles. There are going to be failures. There are going to be things that you have to overcome. And in order to overcome all that, you require that energy. And that energy is produced by having a goal that you really love, something that you truly care for, something that when you think about it, and something that when you are thinking about it or talking about it, it just gets you excited, gets you enthusiastic. So I'm going to stop here. I want you guys to, before I get to Abram, I want you guys to, if you have any question, I can answer it. Otherwise, we're going to move to next slide, which Abram is going to take over from here. Goal, having a goal, I want you guys to think about what I just said about the goal. What's your goal that it's going to get you excited? What's the goal that when you think about it, you want to tell the whole world about it? And when you pick that goal, there's a very important rule about it. Your why. Why do you have that goal? Because people come and talk to me about these goals that they just say it, to fail themselves, because there's no why behind it. Why you pick that goal? What is your why? Because if you don't have that why behind it, you're going to chase it for a little bit, and then all the problems, everything outside the world, and everything that you're going to face that is going to help you grow, the challenges that is there with purpose to help you grow, it's going to beat you if you don't have a big why. So rule number 1, pick a goal, gets you excited. Rule number 2, have a purpose. Why you want that goal. And I'm going to have Abraham continue the seminar. Thank you. Before I forget, I want to mention, I want to thank you, I don't know if Autumn is here. If not, has been part of this. She's behind the scene. You don't see her, but she is, she's putting these books together. She's designing it from scratch. And she's also putting all these slides together for us. And also Zach, he's in control room. And if you've seen our Instagram or post and Facebook and TikTok, Zach is creating them. I want to thank to these individuals. You don't see them, but they're the one helping us a lot. Thank you.
There's so much we could not do with people with the right experience and knowledge of taking care of the other things that we don't know how to. We've been talking about the mind. We've been talking about the programming. We've been talking about what's rooted in the subconscious. When we look at this subconscious, we didn't know, and majority of us are not really educated in how the subconscious works. And the psychology behind it is really study and comprehension. And you get that as you do it. So how many times have you found yourself saying, I'm going to go do that, and then you don't go and do it? How many times you say, I'm going to go and create this business, or I'm going to go do, and then you find yourself going doing something else? How many times do you find yourself, I will be successful, I'm going to do, and you find yourself off doing the same thing that you've been doing? How many times do you find yourself doing that? Do you even question it? How many of you are even aware of when you say, but you don't do? Now, what we didn't understand, we're going to put several cabinets. I'm going to go ahead and draw that lower. There's several cabinets in here that are programmings for each filing cabinet. And all these different files is information, mass of information. And this mass of information is stored in your subconscious mind. Why does this matter to me? Why is this so important? Well, Taha said earlier that 0 to, we'll say sometimes 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, just depends. Well, when you think, you say, I am thinking. I am thinking. And you think that you're thinking. But the truth of the matter is that you came into a physical reality. When I draw this line, this circular line, this is the environment you came into. And this circular environment started to feed you information, did it not? Immediately. So what did you get conditioned with? Immediately, your eyes start flickering and you start to see. But you don't know what you're seeing. You're becoming aware of even seeing. So the eyes start flickering and it's picking up information. What is it picking up? Information from the outside world. It didn't have any information. Its subconscious at the time, its boxes were wide open. There was no information. Where were you at? I think I hit. It was just, your eyes were just flickering. Well, all the information that's going on in this circle, this is the environment, it's backed by all the things they were doing. And because all of this is backed by everything, this is making this circle. But this circle is not just a circle, it's a circle of intelligence. And guess what? You're taking all of these beliefs and you're making them their own, your own. It was their own. All these beliefs that were surrounding you and them became your theory. About who? Yourself. Let's look at this. So here comes the law of vibration. A lot of people want to know the law of vibration and attraction, and everybody's studying result. The result I see out here, the result I see out here, but nobody's really paying attention to the law of vibration. This is why you miss it, because you're thinking. Who's really thinking? All of their ideas. See, so when you think, you're thinking with their ideas. You did the only thing you could do. You accepted. You accepted everything as truth. Why is it important to understand the persistent side of this? Because when you think, let's look at memory. We're charged with this thing called ideas, and ideas always become things because it was memorized. Now the question is, in this pocket that we call the filing cabinet, where did you store the information? Where did you store it? Now look at this. If we took an idea, that's an image. This is an image. We think in images. We took an image and we got emotionalized with it. Emotion. Emotion is desire or propulsion or the magnetic field we call gravity and form as you see it. This image and emotion, you got it 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D. How many times have y'all read a book and you think you got it? How many of you have read a book? Right now you're hearing this and you hear me, but you're getting me at a distance. Why are you getting, you think you're understanding what I'm saying, but you understand me at a distance. Now watch this. Now watch this. So we get memory at many different levels. We got memory on a 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 5. Guess what happened right here? You got all of their memory 5D. Did you not? Look at me. You say hi. Goo goo gaga. So they were connecting all the senses immediately. Hear, see, taste, touch, smell. So that is what we can easily do. Now look. So then here comes relationships. Oh, this is the way a father treats a mother, or if one's not there, the other. So we have all these words on relationships. We'll take all this because there's so much. Husband, wife, daughter, son, grandfather, grandmother. That word relationships, my friend. And how so they're recognizing not what you say, but what you do. Look at this. The subconscious part, this part right here is the doing part of your personality. What we didn't know is that the doing part is directly connected in these cabinets. There's one it's not connected to. I'm going to move it in this direction. So there's some that is connected to, some that is not on the doing part. On the doing part, this is what rules the body. And here we are in reality, experiencing reality in time. So when you think, we think in images, but when you think about doing anything, you go to the doing filing cabinet. Now, this is where the conditioning came in, and this is why persistence is so important, because you're going to persist on only what you know how to do. And guess where that came from? Here. Now look at this. How much memory coding did you get that got filed in the 1 and got filed in the 2D? Now let's look at education. Oh, let's go get that book again. Let's go grab a book and let's study the book. Look, 1D. We got this 1D. Not much there, is there? Then we get this 2D. But there's not much feeling with something that's flat, is it? So let's go back to the little child. And he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say there's no puppy around the house. No puppy. No dog. And the mama says, we're going to teach them cards. We get cards, he starts to learn. But they're going to teach him something 2D, 3D because it's not in their life. But nobody questions why it's not in their life yet. They're going to get a card to assimilate an image, to try to put an emotion to it so they have the feeling about it, to bring some kind of senses to it. Now, they say, puppy, dog, woof, look. But the little child, 0, 1, 2, 3, let's say he never is around a puppy. Let's say they never even take him around a family that never has a puppy. They only got neurotransmitters. What fires together wires together, the baby. That's the way it works. That's the law of vibration. What fires together wires together. They didn't get 3, 4, 5. Which is what? We got 5 fingers. Hear, see, taste, touch, smell, right? This is seeing and hearing at a distance. We can see and hear. When we're closer to it, we're more activated. But when it's at a distance, you don't know that. You know about it. That's the key. When it's at a distance, you know about it. You don't know it. But the little child starts to know about it. He's watching you move your finger, and he's matching you. So he's knowing about it. Why? Because he's studying you, and he's matching you. That's going to be the doing. Heard mother speak to father in a certain way. Now he's got hearing, up close personal. He watches the emotions back and forth, the way they talk to each other, the way they disrupt each other maybe. And what is he doing? Memorizing. What? Techniques for the future. This becomes, because it was so close and he could touch it, it's going in the doing part. Bam. Okay? He wants to lift that sippy cup so bad. He watches you drink a cup. He wants to taste. He wants to taste. He's watching you taste it. He's watching, and then he wants to do exactly how you do it. What is he learning? The connection between the mind you don't see and his hand. He can't move it at the first. He's saying, and he's noticing that hand's coming up. Why? Because it's a connection from something that's unseen. The brain does not think, but we think through the brain. Listen to what I'm saying. I'd write it down. The brain does not think, but we think through our brain. The brain does not think, but we think through our brain. But who's thinking then? Here's a big question. Who is my imagination? And what ideas have been persisting in me that don't even belong to me? And let's take a wild guess. Look at all the things that I cannot make 3D because it was at a distance. And it was memorized only for the observation of a fact outside of me. What do we not do when it comes to things that were away from my sight? At a distance. Anything 2D, you think you got this? You don't have this. You know about it. And the further you are away, the less connection you have to it. The closer you are to a 2D, it turns 3D, becomes alive. That's what you got, and that's what you do. Let's look at this again. Puppy. No algorithm. Never see the puppy. In neuroplasticity, we're studying the mind. We've got a neuroscientist that's got pretty close to 50 years just studying the mind. And maybe I'll put that slide up here in a minute. 0 to 3, that brain is active. It's actually becoming alive because it's getting new information. But it's getting segmented into different parts. When it comes to the doing, and the little child never sees a puppy, later on in the future, he sees a puppy and he's scared of it. Why is he scared? Because immediately when it's in the unknown, what do? You fear going into the unknown. Why? Because you have no cells of recognition. What do you fear? What you don't know. Why do you fear what you don't know? Because there's no cells of recognition in your filing cabinet. Why is it every time there's an opportunity or chance for you to go create something that you really want and you don't go and do it? Because you may not even have it 5D. You may have no idea, no clue how to do it. There's nothing there. What kicks in immediately? Fear, doubt, and worry, because it's the unknown. Now, let's go back to the little child. Let's say later on, it's his turn. He's got the little child. He never even questioned why he doesn't like dogs or animals. He said, I don't know. I just don't like them. I just don't want one. I don't know why. Because he was never connected to it. It was 2D. It was 1, 2. That was stored in his power bank only for the observation of it at a distance. 1D, 2D, not much emotion. And it's not this memory. Now we have groups of memory. Here's a group of memory only for the observation of that fact at a distance. When you have memory that's only for the observation of that fact, what does school do? Later on, take you to school and then repeat over and over and over and over again. But what do? They teach you 1D, 2D, and you don't get 3, 4, 5. So here, you're storing more information. You think you know this. You hear this, I've heard this before, I know it. No, you don't. That's why you don't go and do it. Why? Because you got this memory only for the observation of the fact at a distance. You don't know this. You only know about it. This, you know. Knowing is a connection. That's why you can go do what your family's done. Because we have groups. This is, let's say right here, here's the doing part, and everything they taught you. Speak the way you speak, talk the way you talk, the environment you're at, the time, the year, everything, cultured. If you'd have been born in Japan, you'd talk totally different. You'd even say, no, I'm Japanese. I said, no, you're not. Yes, I am. You'd argue with me. Why? That's where you came in. And then everything they told you, and then the way they told you to talk and walk, and everything that was 5D, you're going to be automatic to go and do. But everything that is wired here only for the observation of a fact at a distance, that's what you can't do. Law of vibration. Now we're understanding the persistency of an idea that was only to know about it at a distance. Here's the other one. Maybe it was transmuted a little bit lower to talk about it. My brain does not think, but I think through my brain. Who's thinking? Scientists know that the body has no life and no power alone. Scientists know this, that the body has no life and no power alone. If you disconnect that divine spark that's in you, the divine, I believe I'm a spiritual being. If you take, scientists know that there's this spiritual essence in a man, but the minute you disconnect that spiritual essence that connects to the brain, that moves that body, immediately the body flatlines and you're off to another place. They know that when a child is born, if the child does not act, react, breathe, they'll spank the baby. Why? They want it to come in. If it doesn't, immediately that body, it's gone. It goes back to earth. Where did all the bodies come from? From earth. Where do they go back to? To dust. So here we go again. Where does that go to? Now we're really understanding we're spiritual beings experiencing a physical reality, not the other way around. We're spiritual beings experiencing a physical reality. But what are we really experiencing? Here's the biggest question. All of their grouped ideas, by law, I had no information, and I gathered all of theirs. Then I gathered the doing part, and then I have tucked away in my boxes what I do and what I know about, And then maybe I can even talk about it. So how much of this did you get to the point where you can talk about it? That's still not doing it. You're hearing me, you see me, but you just know about it. When do you know that you know something? When do you know that you know? This down here is called understanding. You're standing underneath the mind. You'll never understand a thing until you can do it. That means a new idea has to go from beyond know about, beyond talk about, to the doing part of your personality. And that's the only time you meet your hand. And you get the feedback. Did it work? Did it not work? Was I thinking right? Did I do the right things? Did I talk about, did I? You'd never know a thing until you can express it. Now, how much of the memory was coded into these files and where are they at? Let's talk about the doing part. Do you have to think about your heart? That one's not connected to you, not consciously. Why? Can you imagine if we gave you that opportunity to control your organs? What would happen? You're talking about squirrel and dog and the kid in the other room, and you're thinking about all these things. Well, too late. So here we go. Subconscious mind has many different files with memory that protects the body so that it can keep operating because it wants to live. It wants to experience itself outside of itself. But what are we normally experiencing? This persistency until I decide to be something different. But again, let's go back. Superior knowledge, inferior results. How much of us went to school and how much of the memory did we get that we don't even talk about anymore? You're graded in school for memory, but that's not doing. Right? And when it comes to doing, how much doing have you been able to experience that was beyond what you already knew? How much of the memory have you received or you went and studied that you connected to the doing part of your personality? It was hard. Go think about everything you've ever done today that was hard. Why was it hard? You may have had it 1D, 2D, or it may not have been there at all. What's persistent? So what's been thinking inside of me then? The past. What are we understanding in persistence, unwavering persistence? Well, the very first thing is, one, to persist on a goal, to go somewhere new, to achieve something new, to become something new. The other one is getting a better understanding that if I don't create my own vision, my own image, and I can penetrate the doing side of my personality, this remains automatic. And this tells the body what to do. And that idea, these ideas keep telling me what to do. And this keeps controlling my experience. What do I see outside of myself? Low vibration, persistent. Does that ever stop? Go to bed. It's still thinking, isn't it? Superior knowledge, inferior results. You go to school and they give you a whole bunch of memory only for the observation of facts. That fact. But not in the doing. And if it wasn't doing, you can't experience it out here. Now you're understanding yourself. So, Taha said at the beginning, and I'm telling you guys right now, you're not going to get this the first time. All we're doing is opening your consciousness, making you more aware of how the mind works. You don't get this the first time. You know about it as a distance. When do you actually start learning and understanding what we're teaching? Goals are not to get, they're to grow. We set a goal. That's how you grow. Golds are good for the soul. Golds are purifying the what? Beliefs. The body alone has no life and no power. Science knows. There's an accident, young man, brain's fractured, mind cannot communicate through the brain to signal the heart. Organs, it's gone to dust. They can measure that energy when it leaves. Who's thinking? Now, how much of your memory is 1D, 2D? How much did you get 3, 4, 5? See and hear. Hearing, you're not emotionally involved when you're hearing. It goes in one ear and out the other. It didn't hit the emotional part that gets you to get up and go do things. What is the one thing that gets you proposing and moving? Desire. If there's no desire, you don't listen. Desire is when you penetrate the heart, the subconscious mind. In here you have a program, yes, but in here also is universal intelligence as it is in your heart. Now, if you can get hooked up to this part of your personality, you can enter a new memory box. Let's say we keep going to the previous memories. What do we get? What we know. How can you get a vision of something you've never even been around? How is that possible? Have you ever received an image that you've never been around? Think about when you're a little child. How many of you got a light image, started to use your imagination, and you got a light image that was not in the environment? Isn't that weird? Whose filing cabinet did you just touch? So we have memory in a physical level on all the people we were raised in. And there's also universal intelligence. Einstein said the gift was imagination. Where did Edison pluck that idea from? Illuminated the world. Where did he get it from? Look at everything around you right now. Where did it come from? Everything around you right now. Can you go back 12,000 years ago, sitting right where you're at? Where would you see? Why? You'd probably fall down, wouldn't you? If we zipped you right back right now, 12,000 years ago, you'd fall down, hit the ground, right? More than likely. You probably wouldn't have any clothes on either. Yeah. I couldn't hear you. Creates good images. You might not have the context and the perception because you were not born in this time. You would get their memory. And what would you be thinking about then? Food. Look, anybody know anything about the energies? Root is for what? Procreation. What are you always thinking about? When it gets hot, you're thinking about, well, you want to mate. What are the primal? Let's look at this. 3D again, right? 1, 2, 3. We normally light up 1, 2, 3. Why? Primal urge. Lowest one is procreate, right? What are the primal needs? The minute something happens, let's say you're in need of money, what happens? You're going to go and act. Why? Because it's going to affect how you eat, whether you have a roof. What are you thinking about? That's it. Can you say that again? That's it. 1, 2, 3. Look, 3D. That's what connects you to the physical world immediately. Do you know that 60%, they say 60% their awareness, conscious awareness stays here. 60% their consciousness stays there. They don't go beyond. 60% will not research how to get outside of what they are. This is true. You can research it. 60% will not even know that they don't know. Where's their awareness? Down here. They say 20%. 20% now will know that something's wrong, but they won't research it. So they feel that something's wrong, but they won't go and look for books. They won't look for material. They won't look for personal development. 20%. That's 80%. 60% will not even know that they don't know. And this is not me saying it. Generations have been doing this. 20%, they'll start to become more aware and begin to look, but they don't do anything with it. Sorry, I'm jumping up my 17%. 20% will know about it, don't research. 70% begin to look, and they get it. Here it is. You wanted to know? 17% will begin to look for it, see it at a distance, but they're not able to penetrate the information and the doing part of the personality. Then consciousness is arising from 17 all the way to that 3, 1, 2, all the way to 1%. Now, how many people they say rule the world? Because they think differently. They say 97% work for that 3%. Is it an accident or they think different? Why? 1, 2, 3. Who was the family? They gave you the 5. Where are they at? Where are they living? How are they living? How many don't even want to look at personal development? Look around you. How many family members do you have that don't want to look? I don't need that. They'll never even be aware that they're not aware. 20% will know that something's wrong, but they don't look for it. Next 17%, you're going up in awareness, will know something's wrong. They'll start to research to try to figure out what's going on. But it stayed 1D, 2D. It was recorded solely from memory. And this is the problem. We think that we're thinking. And we are. But we got the memory, we didn't get the doing part. It was never in action, in form. So we don't make the connection between mind and matter, and we never see our dreams become real. Because it remained. We're thinking, and we think we got the memory, but the memory stayed in this file. And this file is not to be done. That file was for recording and storing images. 1D, 2D. It wasn't for doing them. It wasn't for doing them. Understand what I'm saying? It wasn't for doing them. At a distance. We can take this knowledge. We know about it. We think we know. I know that. I know. I heard it. I heard it over. I know it. I know it. But if you knew it, wouldn't you be experiencing something different? It's because it's coded only for the retrieval of memory, not doing. It's filed only for to know about it. Maybe you get it down to the point where you get this knowledge and it comes down here to the mouth and you can talk about it. A lot of times when people get the memories to where they can talk about it, you'll start to find the other people that can talk about it too, and they begin to argue about it. How far did the information get to? Their mouths. But then, when do you see the information go beyond their mouth? Now we're understanding. It didn't get to the stem that activates the body, that moves the limbs and the arms into action. You got a young man in the back. How many times did you go and face the thing you fear? You had to go do upfront sales. I know that, right? How many times did you feel that knee-jerk reaction? Can somebody pass in the mic, please? The reason I'm picking on you because you're in sales, and the very first person that gets stuck, anybody that is selling or building a business is always going to get hammered with, they're going to want to move their body, it's not going to want to do it, because you're forcing yourself to do something that's not common. Go ahead.
So can you repeat the question one more time?
How many times were you forced